All of the food we eat and much of the clothing we wear comes from plants and animals that are raised on farms. Farms are different in type, in size, and even in name.
Welcome to Barn Talk. What happens at the barn stays in the barn, but not today. We're going to let it all out for you guys. Today is going to be a Q&A episode. We're going to answer all your guys' questions that you submitted or emailed to us at barntalkshow@gmail.com today on the show. If you want to get your answers, if you want to get your questions answered on the show, you can email them to barntalkshow@gmail.com. We are getting our website put together here. We're getting it close to being done, and once we have that done, that'll be a good place to submit your questions. So be looking out for that. Be tuning into the show when we let you know that that's live. If you get any value from the show, share it out with who you know. The more that you guys do that, the more this show grows, the better guests we can get on, the more episodes we can make, the more credibility it gives our show. You can also feel free to leave a review on Spotify or Apple. That also gives our show mad credibility, lets us try to get higher level guests on the show. And we're trying for them. We're looking for more and more guests, higher level guests, cool ass people to come on the show. It doesn't have to just be ag. And if the last thing you can do to help us out here at Barn Talk is you can support our direct to consumer meat business, Farmer Grade, farmergrade.com. We got Wagyu, we got beef, we got chicken, we got pork, all sourced and raised by American farmers and ranchers that are showing people what they do on their farms every day. And we have a special discount code for only Barn Talk listeners and viewers that they can use for the rest of the time, code Barn Talk, and you can save 10% on your order. Individual items, a la carte, whatever you want, you just add it to your basket. So those are all the ways that you can help us. If you're new here, I don't feel like we do a good enough job saying that for all the newcomers. If you're new here and you're watching, or maybe you're listening, this show is actually shot in a hayloft of our barn on our farm that my grandpa built in 1950. And this is a 6th generation farm. And the host of this show is me, Sawyer, son, and my dad, Tork. So we're in this together, and we're shooting. Like it or not. And the straw behind us is actual straw. It's straw that sat on the bottom of this hayloft when we first cleaned this out to do this podcast. So how are you?
Baled somewhere around mid-50s.
Yeah.
It's from a wire-tied John Deere baler that got scrapped in the late 50s. So, yeah, nostalgic.
Yeah, I just wanted, we just don't do that enough. Sometimes you just got to let people know, hey, this is who we are.
No, it's hard to believe we've been at it this long that we have people that don't.
Just tuning in.
Yeah, just tuning in.
Yeah,
so
how are you today?
We appreciate that. I'm doing good. It's a beautiful day in southeast Iowa. We should be doing something, but unfortunately it rained again last night, so no planning. And, in hindsight, last Wednesday and Thursday were the only days where it got fit enough around this area that you could plant. And there were some people that did plant, and there were some people that didn't plant. And we were one of those people that did not, because it was not a damn bit too fit, and we really thought we were going to get a lot of rain, and we ended up getting about 2 inches, 2 and 2/10 inches of rain between Friday and Saturday, and so whatever, we couldn't have gotten a lot planted, but we could have gotten something. So when I run into somebody and they ask me if we planted anything, I could go, oh yeah, yep, we're getting her done. But we haven't. The only, the only planter reference that I have is I've got this fancy Z-Series soybean hat. And I have some Z-Series soybeans, but I haven't planted them yet. So
how much did that hat cost you? Fair amount.
It was a fair amount.
Yeah.
It's maybe not like a Sinclair tractor hat.
Yeah.
It's not quite that expensive,
yeah,
but it's up there. Among the hats that we own, it's up there.
Reoccurring.
Yeah.
We get a reoccurring hat every year, so
oh yeah,
it adds up.
They do. Yeah, we're dollar cost averaging that. The cost of the garb goes down a little bit.
They make good shirts too.
Yeah.
Can't
I still think the most expensive like apparel we have are probably our PSI coats. Well, they're damn nice coats, by the way, but we paid a pretty healthy amount for those coats, so they should be nice.
We did get a cool cooler out of that deal too.
They are. Kudos to
those coolers are pretty sick.
Yeah, kudos to the Precision Structures out of Wilman, Iowa, hog building builder extraordinaire, and that is a completely unpaid advertisement. But yeah, they do a good job, and they gave us a cooler, and that was awful nice of them. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I mean, we got a daytime episode going today, and we're not in any big hurry because pigs are chored, and there isn't a whole hell of a lot else going on right now. So we figured it'd be a good time to catch up and try to get a little bit ahead on some podcasts. So without any further ado, I have a fresh market update. These are numbers hot off the Cat's Grain website in Washington, Iowa. And corn closed today at $4.39. Best price I could find local was $4.44. And Cedar Rapids, ADM in Cedar Rapids, if you want to go sit in line, $4.57. Beans, $11.45. The river, I think there's a few cents difference between the two plants on the river. ADM in Burlington, I think, has the $11.50 bid. Quincy, if you want to go across the river, $11.70. Bean meal, $3.46 a ton. Wheat, $5.85. Hogs, $94.10. And that is that still the May contract? Maybe I think that is still a May contract. June, July, and August, you'll want to listen to this, Sawyer, because now that you're a hog buyer, June, July, and August are all $100 plus hog prices. So meat cost is going to be going up.
There goes my profit.
Well, we don't have any to buy. We don't have any going too soon anyway, till August, but it may be higher than that.
Yeah.
But coming off of the absolute shit show that the hog market has been for the last, 18 months or whatever.
Reminds me, I was driving on my way heading south, close to Mount Pleasant today, and there was always this farm that raised pigs on a concrete lot outside, right by Four Corners.
Yep.
No pigs out there today.
Really?
Probably was like, fuck this hog business shit.
Yep. If I'm sure there are a lot of guys that, if there are any in or out hog farmers, we call the guys, that when prices got cheap, they'd sell the sows, and when it looked like things were going to go good, they'd go buy a bunch of gilts and breed them and get in. And used to have a lot of people in the hog business that got in and out, they called it. And as the cost of everything went up, there was fewer and fewer of those people. But that guy probably was like, you know what? Just not worth it.
Piss on this.
Yep, I don't blame him. He could make some money for fall if he found some feeder pigs, probably. Cattle, $175. Feeder cattle, $244. Milk price, $20.62. And I did look at a chart. Milk price, that's a pretty good.
People were getting on your ass on last episode.
Well, it's complicated. I tell you, the milk business is complicated.
It is complicated.
There's a reason why I'm not a dairy farmer. I can barely keep it together, grain farm and the hog business, and I'm pretty sure I'd lose my ass on the milk deal.
I like milk no matter what udder it's coming out of. So just
look at that. Look at that.
I'll just stick to drinking
God dang it, I tell you what. So take that for what it's worth. I think it's kind of moved up. So $20.62. Oil, $79. That's the June contract. That's down a little bit. The threat of World War III and global meltdown evidently has gone down a little bit because, it was up in the 80s and it's moved down a little bit. Bitcoin, 57,000 and change. Kind of got beat, hit the old 70,000, and everybody thought, 100K, here we go. But evidently, not quite yet.
Still better than where it was.
It is. We're consolidating.
Yeah.
Consolidating.
I still think it's going to run.
Oh, I do too.
For a little bit.
I do too. Ethereum, $3,000. The only reason I leave Ethereum in there is because in my crypto wallet, somehow I have some Ethereum, and I don't know whether to sell it or keep it, and I just keep it. So
I keep it.
I'm like, one of these days.
I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are your two ballers.
All right, that's
in the
good.
Crypto space. I mean, if you listen to anything, people say, there's a bunch out there, but those usually are the top two. So
who knows? By the time I'm dead and gone, you and your brother will be clubbing each other over the head for
some Ethereum.
Boy, I want Dad's Ethereum.
Yep.
Tesla 181, gold $2,300, and Beyond Meat. I love bagging on Beyond Meat, $6.99. So
Yeah.
I'd short it. You know what? If I was one of them guys that had money to play around, I'd be shorting the shit out of that. So I think it's going to go to like $3.
Yep, I think so too. I don't think people are for it. That's for sure. I mean, we said it in the last podcast, and I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole. But
speaking of bad investments, how was the NFL draft for your Cowboys?
Honestly, I think the draft in all in all was a little more exciting than previous years, just because there's so many quarterbacks, and it kind of messed up the draft order, the mock drafts. Falcons came out of left field. They just signed Kirk Cousins, a veteran quarterback that played for the Vikings forever. He's like a Tony Romo. Yep. You love him, but you hate him because he can't get the fucking job done.
Right.
But he's a great man. And
good game manager.
I mean, he has some games where it's like Romo. It's exactly like Romo. He'll throw 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. You're like, holy shit, where this guy is.
He has arrived.
He is here. And then he gets to the playoffs, and I don't know what happens. But anyway, Falcons signed him, and then they drafted a young quarterback, and they both have the same contract length. And it's not like he's a young rookie. He's kind of an older rookie. He played all 4 years. So, I don't know. That messed up the whole order of the draft. But my Cowboys, a lot of Cowboys fans are pissed that we didn't draft a running back because Tony Pollard left, and the backup, I can't remember his name, that backed up Tony Pollard that got some time last year. He wasn't great. He wasn't great by any means. But there's teams that have won a Super Bowl that don't have phenomenal great running backs. So I'm feeling hopeful. We've really we drafted a tackle number in the first round, drafted a hell of a lot of offensive linemen because Tyron Smith left, and we just needed to update the offensive line and get some more tonnage up there. We got a linebacker. So yeah, I think it was a pretty solid draft, and something about being a Cowboys fan, they have missed on some first-round draft picks, but more than likely they hit on them. They do a pretty good job in the draft, and recently they've done a really good job in the draft. So I believe in their scouts, and I believe in what they're trying to do there when it comes to the draft. So I don't know. People hate on Jerry Jones, and I think the biggest problem with the Cowboys that hurts them is not the draft. It's not that the Joneses are kind of running the team. The problem is Jerry has put such a huge target on the Cowboys' back and publicity on the Cowboys' back, and him talking as an owner so frequently throughout the season rather than just shutting the fuck up and letting the players do their thing. He just puts so much pressure on the team. Mm-hmm. And the team feels that. I think they probably feel that. And so if there's one thing that I wish Jerry wouldn't do is just don't talk to the press. Yep. Be like every other owner and don't be in the spotlight because we don't need it. We don't need it to be there. And that's
go
the only
hang out
thing.
with Robert Kraft in some dive bar somewhere and just stay to yourself. Be good for both.
Well, they
teams.
could go to a Korean massage parlor together and try that out for size. But no, Robert Kraft's kind of in the press a little bit more
for different reasons.
Yeah, but he's been in the press too. But Jerry's definitely the most polarizing of owners for sure. But something that I didn't like was the Eagles. They drafted hometown kid Cooper DeJean, a cornerback from Iowa, who's a white cornerback that you don't see very often. They might move him to safety, they might not, but holy shit, he's an athletic white guy, I'll tell you that, very athletic. Yep. And I think he was a great pick. And then they drafted him in the second round. They drafted another cornerback that was the top cornerback in the first round. So they got arguably the two best corners in the whole draft, back to back.
We get to play them.
And we get to play them twice a year, and they're already loaded. They got Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and they signed both their wide receivers to contracts. So that worries me a little bit. But other than that, it was a good draft. Good to see. I love when Goodell gets booed every time he comes on stage.
Yes,
that's hilarious.
Nobody likes
Goodell.
And they shouldn't, because he's a piece of crap.
Yeah, people can argue he's not done a lot of good for the game. So anyway.
Where did the Iowa kicker go?
The Iowa punter went to the Bears.
Yep.
And the Bears had a really good draft. Caleb Williams, I don't know. He seems like kind of a prima donna. But if he can play at a high level on the field, All his off the field shit, you can say whatever you want to say, but if he can play on the field and he has that off the field personality, he is going to be a star, and Chicago is going to love him. If he sucks, they're going to rake him over the coals.
He'll be run out of town.
Anyway, my reason for bringing that up is Caleb Williams, the first overall pick that the Bears took, texted Iowa's punter like after he got drafted and said, "We're not going to be punting here very much."
Yeah, I saw.
So I don't know. Good for him too. So he punted a fuckload last year for Iowa Hawkeyes. He was so he got plenty of experience punting. So he's probably ready to go for the NFL. So that's all I'll say on the NFL draft. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. Cowboys. I'm not one of these Cowboys fans that'll tell you that we're going to the Super Bowl this year because
there's a lot of hard work.
I have yet to see it. It's never happened in my entire lifetime. So I've only watched the glory days of the 90s. So I will not be one of these that tell you we're going to the Super Bowl every year. Yeah. So
there's hope, though.
I wait for postseason.
Yeah, that's what you're playing for.
Yep.
With them. Yep. The regular season doesn't matter. All right. Well,
I got a question that isn't on the outline that I want to bring up. Somebody asked. So somebody asked, first question here, it's going off script. I'm already throwing curveballs. Somebody asked, what's the best financial platform to invest into stocks and stuff like that? In my personal opinion, this is not a sponsored advertisement because, and the reason you know it's not sponsored is because I'm going to say fuck. And if I was saying fuck in a sponsorship, they won't sponsor us. So this is not sponsored. This is my personal feeling, personal experience. M1 Finance is a great platform to invest your money on because it has everything. They have a really good mobile app. You can do it on the computer. They have retirement accounts. They have brokerage accounts. You can invest in index funds, ETFs, individual stocks. You can do a margin loan against your portfolio if you're into that. It's really easy to use. Tons of YouTube tutorials on how to use the platform. And, if you just want to kind of take the investment power into your own hands, it does everything. My problem with Cash App or any of these other, they're not really, I guess. And you can buy stocks on there, but you can only buy individual stocks in crypto.
Right.
And that is the one thing that I will say M1 doesn't have is crypto. You can't buy crypto on there or Bitcoin on there, but you can do everything else. And so when I'm looking at platforms, I want to stick to one. I really want to stick to one and have everything available to me. And that's why I chose them. I recommend them a lot.
Yep.
So,
well, the investment platform that I use is Farm Credit Services of America because I don't have any money to invest. It's all just payments going out. All my eggs are pretty much in this'll do's basket at this point. But I'll tell you, this is how old I am. I was actually at a wedding Saturday. The guy, my neighbor, one of my best friends growing up, he was the best man in my wedding. His youngest daughter got married this weekend, so that'll make you feel as though time has marched along kind of harshly. But we were chit-chatting a little bit, and he and I are old enough that we used to have a subscription to Investors Business Daily, which was a printed magazine that ranked every stock that was out there, and it was done every day. And I would run to the mailbox at 10:35 because that's when we would get it, and you'd get the updated stock rankings from the day before. And we were we were day trading through a TD Ameritrade. Back then it was just TD because they hadn't merged yet. I can't remember what it was. Doesn't matter. Anyway, we would call in our trades, and we were day trading on. This was right before the tech bubble popped, and so JDS Uniphase and Intel and Oracle, and I mean some of those are around today, but also a bunch of stocks that are not around anymore. So we did all that, and then it didn't end real well. And so learned a valuable lesson there. And then after that, I moved into Edward Jones, and I had, and I do still have an IRA and all that good stuff, but used them for a long time. And then, you know, when you start building hog buildings and buying land and raising kids and starting businesses within what you're doing, it takes a lot of money. So I don't have, other than my Roth IRA today, I'm not invested in anything.
Well, I guess if you're being honest, I'm not really either, because to start farmer graded, I need some money. So I had to liquidate a lot of my shit. So, but before that, that's what I used all the time. So
I do have,
and I started out at Edward Jones, but if you do any research, you find out that the S&P 500 index fund outperforms most, like 90% of the time, it outperforms mutual funds that these financial advisors have. And, you got to pay them fees, and you don't have to pay shit when it comes to the index fund. So that was a realization to me that, well, why am I paying this person? There's a lot of value in those people. If you don't got time, you don't want to worry about it, I highly recommend a financial advisor. But if you think you can do it yourself, do it yourself. So it's all different for anybody. But that was the reason I moved over there. But yeah, you were being honest, so I'm being honest here too. I don't got much. I don't got much.
We're all in.
We're all in on this sucker, baby. We're all in on this sucker. So
yeah, and you know what? That ain't all bad. I'll tell you what. I
have a good quote.
Go ahead.
Alex Hormozy said this once. You know, if you don't know who that is, he's an entrepreneur. He's on social media, always coming up with. He's a good thought guy. But you know, the best investment that you can make is in the field of knowledge that you know best. Yeah. Because, you know, like if you're a really good real estate guy, most of your money should probably be in real estate, because that's your field of knowledge. That's where you spend a lot of your time. That's where you're learning. That's where you're at. Everybody always maximizes for diversification. You got to diversify to get rich. A lot of wealthy people will tell you, get wealthy doing one thing. Then once you get the wealth, then diversify to keep the wealth.
Yeah.
You don't diversify and try to get rich that way. So I don't know, being all in on something that we're all in on farming, we're all in on the businesses, and businesses are part of it all kind of goes together, and it's all in our field of knowledge.
Yep.
So
there you go.
Shoot, you might as well go for the
invest
home
in
run.
yourself.
Yep, that's right. It is. So anyway,
all right.
I have a question for you off the sheet
All
that
right.
I just thought about I just thought somebody asked us on a YouTube video. What are your thoughts on the Tyson plant closing in Perry, Iowa?
Oh, I think that Tyson knows that. Okay, back up. Hog prices have been cheap up until recently. Packer margin was very, very good. The plant in Perry is not one of their biggest plants, and it's an older plant that they bought. But when you're making good money, it makes sense. But I think that Tyson looked at that and saw what was coming, because their margin is getting tighter. The more the hog market goes up, the more pressure they're getting, the worse their margin is. And let's face it, being in the meat business is a tough business from a labor standpoint, from a financial standpoint, from a regulatory standpoint. It is not for the faint at heart. And the people that run those businesses, for lack of a smoother way to say it, they are some cutthroat son of a bitches, because that's why they're still in business. And I think they looked at that and said, we can close that plant if we want to double shift or expand or modernize one of our newer plants. We can probably get back the production we've lost, and So that's why they made that decision. I don't think that it was any grand scheme to screw over the city of Perry. It sucks, and as a hog farmer, I don't like it because it isn't even, that's not consolidation because you didn't lose an independent. It's more of a consolidation of fewer plants, but we need more plants, not less, but more importantly, we need more diversification as far as the people who actually own them. The problem is, as I said, that business is cutthroat. And so I don't think the chances of large scale, there isn't some new competitor that's just going to pop up. So there needs to be a hell of a lot more farmer grades.
Yeah,
I think that's the best thing that can happen to animal agriculture is
independence gaining power back from the major packers, big four.
Yeah, because it's tough, and it's only going to get tougher. And the government's not helping any. The regulatory side of things is only going to get worse, and the ESG score stuff is going to make it harder on them. If you continue with the government that we have, if we don't have a change in the leadership in this country, you're going to see the EPA, basically all regulatory offices are going to just be more emboldened and have take more power to themselves if we don't keep that in check, which makes it harder on all businesses. But that business especially, the margins are pretty thin. And so I guess at the end of the day, all of that to say, I think that it was a pure business decision. As they looked forward, they thought we can probably be more efficient if we get rid of that plant.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are pissed about it because, it was probably a decision made purely on numbers. Now, was it the most ethical decision? Probably not, because you had a lot of Americans, a lot of people in Perry that worked there that had been working there for a long, long time. Real American people working
and those
there.
Are good paying jobs.
Good paying jobs, and you take that out of a small town. I think the other thing that was in the news about it was there was speculation that they closed that plant down because the labor costs so much. And with all these illegal immigrants coming in, I don't know, supposedly there's a database that Tyson had, and I'm sure all these other packers have the same fucking thing, that they essentially track illegal immigrants and know how many are coming in and recruit illegal immigrants to work at these packing plants so they can pay them dirt cheap to essentially do the job and earn more money for themselves because the labor's expensive if it's not an illegal immigrant. And so that was a lot of people were pissed off about that because that got spinned out in the news cycle. Now, I don't know if that's 100% true or not. I'm just going off of what I saw. But a lot of people are pissed about that reason alone. It's taking away American jobs. And if they are going and opening up a new plant or they're going to double or add a few more shifts in their other plants and they're all going to be illegal immigrants and you took away this plant out of Perry, that's un-American, you know. A lot of Americans don't like that. It's not the most ethical decision. And I think that's the problem. That's a problem. I mean, business capitalism is great. It's awesome. And yeah, you got to be a cutthroat in that business, especially, but I don't know. I feel like ethics got to have a play in there too. And if my legacy as a business owner, I mean, for me anyway, I would like to not go down as a unethical business owner.
Right.
And so
I'm a little bit, I don't know.
You don't know about that
I don't
story?
buy all that.
You don't
and
buy
here's
it all?
why. Well, I guess this is what I'll say about it. Is if that's true, if that is true, then the United States government is a willing accomplice for that to happen. Because in this day and age, for a packing plant or anybody that, as an employer, the background checks that you have to go through, and there are a lot of employees at packing plants today that I think are probably what they would call TN visa workers. In other words, they're documented immigrants, and they're here for a certain amount of time, and then they have to go back and then reapply again to come work. There's a fair amount of that goes on, but that's heavily regulated by the government. So if Tyson is able to hire illegal immigrants to work in their plants, the only way that can happen with any I should say with success is the United States government being completely complacent on their regulatory overwatch.
Well, I think some people would say that is the case because they have so much power and they are so wealthy and they're so big that who knows, they could tip them off, or they're just not as strong. They're not as, what do you want to say? They're not as sturdy on the rules on the big guys rather than the little guys.
Right. Well, if that's true, it's another example as to why
lobbying. I mean, maybe they're lobbying them. Maybe the packing plants are saying, we'll donate to your...
Well, there's no doubt that
there's lobbying.
Donate a lot of money to politicians and to local governments and to, that goes without saying. So, I mean, it's possible, but if that is going on, it's because the United States government is totally complacent.
Allowing it to happen.
They're allowing it to happen, 100%.
Yeah, so I guess final thoughts on that one. Shitty deal all around for the people of Perry, Iowa. Yep. I don't like seeing it. I live in Iowa. I'm sure a lot of people in that area are pissed about it. Yeah, it sucks. But there is, and the other thing about that plan is it was really outdated.
It was.
That was a big reason.
Is how outdated it is. When I was a kid, when I was a little shaver.
Oh, shit.
So when I was a kid... and we sold our pigs we raised here a lot of times. So sometimes we sent pigs to Wrath in Columbus Junction or Ottumwa, but usually we sent ours to Columbus Junction. So that was Wrath. Wrath got purchased by IBP, and IBP became Tyson's. Anyway, we sold pigs there, but then right where the Hy-Vee store is and where Hy-Vee gas is in the little town, there was the Oscar Mayer buying station. And Chuck Hodel ran that, and we would load up Old Nuppy. His grandpa had a straight truck, a double-decker straight truck, and we sold straight truck loads of pigs, and we would haul them to the Oscar Mayer buying station. And then Walker's, they had the contract with Oscar Mayer, and they would haul semi-loads of pigs to Perry, Iowa. Well, one of my good friends, when I was in grade school, he and his family moved to Perry, Iowa. And in the summertime, if I wanted to go visit, and I liked going up there and visit because they live close to Adventureland, and my dad is never going to take us to Adventureland. We had too much shit to do. But old Harry Walker, I would go down to Oscar Mayer, and I'd crawl in the passenger seat of a cab over Peterbilt. I think Nup still have that cab over. I think they sold it and then they bought it back. But anyway, I would ride up to Perry, Iowa, because that was the Oscar Mayer plant, and then his family would pick me up there from the parking lot.
The Tyson plant was in Perry. Oh, no.
It was Oscar Mayer.
Oh, okay. And then they bought it.
And then it got bought by somebody else, and then Tyson bought it. So it's old, no doubt about it. But yeah, fond memories.
Oh, that I didn't know that. There you go. I like that. All I'll say last thing about it is there's an opportunity there for maybe an independent to get it.
Yes, right.
But it's going to take a shitload of money.
Yep.
And, I mean, yeah, it's just going to take a shitload of money. You're going to have to redo the whole plant, and it's going to take time to make your money back. And you got to have a market to distribute it. So
you got to find some kind of a niche.
A lot of moving pieces there. And if I had the money, I'd love to do it. And if I had the market, I'd love to do it. But I don't think farmer grade's quite there yet.
Not yet.
We'll have to wait for another day. Okay, moving on.
What do you think about TikTok?
TikTok ban. I mean, we've kind of gone over this before. If you haven't listened to that episode, my thoughts on the TikTok ban. As a creator, as somebody that we post content all the time, I'm a little relieved in the fact that it's just one less freaking platform to post on, because, man, there are just a shitload of platforms to post on. I think we post on 4 total: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And as a creator, I'm not upset about the idea of losing a platform. It's just one less that we got to post to. But on the side of why they want it to be gone so bad, and, you know, there's speculation that Meta is lobbying for them to do this bill, and then so that they can take out a competitor, that's shady as shit. And I don't think that should be allowed whatsoever. And then the person that wrote the bill, there was a video that came out about him, that he wrote the bill, invested, I think overall he invested like $1.5 million into Meta, and then the bill passed. So obviously Meta stock is going to go up and up because the news came out, less competition, news came out about the TikTok ban. So he just made a bag, and there's a perfect example of how fucking corrupt our elected officials are right there. That dude wrote up a bill to ban TikTok, invested $1.5 million into its competitor, got it banned, and he just made a shitload of money. If that doesn't tell you what that guy's intentions are, I don't know what will. And he's not the only one out there like that. Yeah. That's exactly what's wrong with America right there. That's exactly wrong with what the people that we've elected. That's what's wrong right there. That's the problem. If you get that out of politics, I think a lot of shit could change, but I don't know how you regulate that. I really don't. So I don't think I don't like that part of it. It's just another example of powers that be abusing their power, for sure. Yeah. I think it's going to get bought. Somebody's going to try to use it, try to make it better, try to keep it the same. I don't know.
Just change ownership.
The other thing I will say, TikTok, we've had a great run on there, whether it was for This'll Do Farm or Barn Talk, and it was really nice I think there was a lot of people. Twitter was always a place that people talked politics and real shit about and like spoke their mind. But I also felt like TikTok became one of those platforms too. Because I felt like Instagram and Facebook, there was a time in there that you couldn't really say exactly all that you wanted to say. But on TikTok and Twitter, ever since Elon bought it, you could say whatever the fuck you wanted. And that was nice because you'd actually get to hear how real people are feeling about shit going on in the real world. Yeah. And so that's going to suck because I don't know if that'll stay that way.
Right.
But
yeah, I agree. The idea that this whole thing was for public safety is a complete line of bullshit, because every social media platform out there is collecting your data and selling that data to whoever they can get to give a buck.
The Chinese.
Yeah, and the Chinese will just, if they aren't owning it, they're just going to be soaking it up however they can. So that's total bullshit. It was 100% for profit by somebody. I have no doubt about that. Personal note, it's probably, if it does change or if it does go away, it's probably not all bad for me, because I don't really consume much social media other than TikTok and some Twitter. That's about all I do. And I can go down, it's good and bad, because I'm one of these people that like when I get interested in something, I can really go down a rabbit hole. And TikTok was pretty good for that. I mean, you could go pretty deep into stuff, and that isn't always the best use of your time. So, and you know, all of the attention is going to go somewhere. If it goes away, it's not like people are not going. They're not going to wake up and say, well, TikTok's gone, so I'm going to go work on my flower garden. Nope, they're going to go somewhere. So all the attention's going to go somewhere else. So as a creator, it doesn't really, I don't think it's going to affect us one way or another. And you should know this by now, and we've said this for a long time, but you should never be dedicated to one platform. Because
this is the exact reason why.
Yes, 100%.
Your audience could die. the audience that you built could die in a blink of an eye if you're not on everything. So that's why we post on everything. You think I like posting all our shit on 4 platforms? Fuck no, I don't. But it's what's required if you're going to be on social media. It's what you got to do.
And it's insurance.
And if, you know, like, and this is Gary Vee to a T. Gary Vee, you can love him or hate him, but the guy is a genius when it comes to marketing and seeing trends and social media and all that. He always talks about the idea of, you know, you think I like the idea that if VR came out and that became the next thing that I'd have to go on VR? No. But is it the only way? Is it one of the best ways that you're going to get attention on whatever you're doing, your business, advertising, whatever? If that's the case, you got to be on there. Doesn't matter. Right. It doesn't matter that you don't like it.
Right.
If you want to have a successful business and get in front of people's eyeballs, you have to go where the people are. Yep. It's just what it is. So it is what it is.
Yep. When it's all said and done, we'll all just have to adapt is what it comes down to.
Yep.
So,
all right. I'll ask you one here. Right. Hey, thanks for sticking with us. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Let's keep this ball rolling. Leave a review on Spotify or Apple. Follow us on YouTube. Pay the fee. Share it out with who you know. It all helps, guys. We appreciate every single one of you. We love you. Now, let's get back to the podcast. John asks, any chance we could get the bottle old-fashioned recipe?
Yes.
Old-fashioned recipe.
So
yes.
I thought about this when I saw it, and I was like, well, we should just go to the bar and I could just show everybody. And then I'm like, well, if you're listening to it, that's not going to have much effect. So, yeah, any of you that don't know, I'm a lazy bartender. So I enjoy an old-fashioned, and a few people in my family enjoy an old-fashioned. So when we get together and we feel like having a drink, it's not a case of, oh, I'm going to mix myself an old-fashioned. I very well am probably going to mix 4 old-fashions. And then, you know, then you're going to mix maybe 4 more of them. And I'm lazy and I don't want to do it, and I don't want to spend all my time standing there doing that while people are sitting around playing a game or doing whatever. So I saw this, and this is why it's going to be bad if TikTok goes away, because I learned this from TikTok. There's a lot of good knowledge on there. So they call it a freezer door old-fashioned, and you can really use whatever your preferred whiskey is. So if you're a purist, you probably want to use a rye whiskey. But you can really use whatever you like.
What's your go-to? 4 Roses?
4 Roses.
It's got a sweet flavor to it.
Yeah, I like a sweeter old-fashioned. I've done it with a rye, but I really do like the 4 Roses. So you just take a regular bottle and pour yourself like a 2 ounce or a 2.5 ounce shot, and do what you think is best with that, and make sure the bottle's actually good. That's usually what I do with that shot. And then I use 2 kinds of bitters. I use the orange bitters and the regular bitters, and I'll put 20 dashes of orange bitters and 40 dashes of regular. And that sounds like a lot, but you got to remember you're making like, I don't know, I think you're making like 10 or 12.
So what bottle, you got to give people, you got to specify. So you're taking a bottle, you pour a shot out. Then you put you're making this all in the same bottle that you just poured the shot out of.
Basically, you're taking the shot out to make room for everything else you're putting in.
Okay.
Is what you're doing. Yep. And so don't use a handle. Use a 750 milliliter bottle, standard bottle of whiskey. And so take the 2 ounces out, and then 20 dashes of orange bitters and 40 dashes of regular bitters, whatever kind you want to use. And then 1.5 ounces of simple syrup. And one thing that makes a huge difference in how good that old-fashioned is do not use some simple syrup that you got at the damn liquor store that's pre-mixed, because it's trash. It's 100% trash. Make your own simple syrup. And that's super easy to do. If you want to make it single strength, it is, say, you take a cup of sugar and a cup of water. You put it on the stove, and you just keep stirring it, and you don't bring it to a boil. You get it simmering until all the sugar disappears. And I use that Damara sugar, so don't use cane sugar. Use brown Damara sugar. That's the best. You can get a lot of places. And I actually make my simple syrup double strength. So I'll put 2 cups of sugar, 1 cup of water, and then you just sit there and whisk it and whisk it and whisk it and whisk it, and the sugar will break down and get stirred in, and then you let it cool. You put it in a bottle, you put it in the fridge, and hell, it'll keep for, I don't know, it'll keep for a month in there, at least 2 weeks. I don't usually, when I do one, it doesn't usually last that long anyway. If it gets, I'm pretty sure I've used it up to a month. Maybe that's longer than you're supposed to, but I'm still here. If it goes longer than that, I'd probably get rid of it. But, and I think you can tell if it went bad. But anyway, so all that to say,
use a good simple syrup.
Make your own simple syrup. Don't buy some cheap ass shit. If you are going to use a good bottle of whiskey, why would you use shitty ingredients to go with it? So don't do that.
How much simple syrup?
Yep. Put 1.5 ounces of that in that bottle. 20 ounces of orange, 40 ounces of regular, and then total. And then there's 2 different things that I have done. And you could probably do them both, but I will take just like, probably not even 1/2 ounce, but up to maybe, I don't think quite, maybe like 1/4 ounce of the syrup from those Luxardo cherries. There again, if you're going to make an old-fashioned, some people don't put a cherry in it. Some people just garnish the glass with an orange, and if you're a purist, you can beat me up. But I like a black Luxardo cherry in my old-fashioned and an orange slice. But I'll put just a little bit of that cherry juice in that bottle, and it gives it some color. It makes the color rich, and it adds a little bit to it. Now, I still put a cherry in it when I mix it. The other thing that some people do, and Corey actually turned me on to this, instead of the cherry, he'll put 1/2 ounce of maple syrup in that bottle. And that's pretty square. Either one, what you do with that last 1/2 ounce is up to you. But anyway, you take that, put it in there, and then just turn the bottle up and down a few times, stick it in the freezer, and you're good to go. And when you have people show up and you're like, you want an old-fashioned, get a glass, get a nice piece of ice, put however much you want in it, and then garnish that with an orange slice if you want to put, or an orange peel if you want to put it in there, go ahead. I always add a cherry, and then we're off to the races. So if we're playing cards or we're playing a cutthroat game of Monopoly, whatever it is.
You don't give a shit because you're off to the promised land.
Yeah, I can stand... the rest of my family is hyper competitive, so whatever game I'm at, I'm probably going to get screwed at, but I don't care because I just mix myself another old-fashioned, and I just smile and nod my head and go, oh, that was a good play. Yep, you really fucked me over on that one, didn't you? So, yeah, that's what Dad's for. Just provide the venue, provide the food, provide the drink, and then take a beating, and then everybody goes home happy. So
build us up. That's what you do. Build us up. Okay, just to recap. Good bottle of whiskey. Pour that 2 ounce shot out.
Yep.
Take that for yourself. Make sure the whiskey's good. You get 40 bitters, 40 of the orange. No, 40 of the regular.
40 of regular.
20 of the
orange.
Good simple syrup.
Yep.
Pour that in there.
1.5
ounces. Either good cherry juice.
Yep.
Or maple syrup.
Yep.
How much of that?
1/2 ounce.
Shake that bitch up, throw it in your freezer.
Don't shake it.
Okay.
Don't shake it.
Don't shake it.
Put your
hand on the top.
Tork back on it and just roll it. Just roll it over.
Roll it over 3 or 5 times.
Yep. And then
put it in the freezer.
Put it in the freezer. And it'll keep in the freezer for a long time. But let's face it, it ain't gonna last very long.
Yeah, it is. I am a testament of trying it. It is really good. Yeah. It is really good, and it's really easy because let's be honest, mixing those up every time somebody wants one. Takes time to do it right.
Like mixing a drink, but my whole thing is when we're like, if we're doing something, like if we're playing cards or, you know, have a group of people, you know, if you get 6 people that like a drink and you have a bottle of that in there, you've pretty much got 2 drinks you can mix for everybody. And the other thing is they're really good. And if you've had 2 good old fashions, then you can give them whatever the hell you want, because as long as the first 2 drinks are good, after that they don't even have to be mixed well, because nobody cares. Everybody's like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And as a host, you don't want to get up and be the bartender the whole time.
Yeah. So
yeah, no, it is really good. So take his advice on that if you want to give it a shot.
So Dean wrote us and said that he'd seen. You know, we've talked about equipment preferences. Iowan Farmer was on here. We've had Wisconsin Titan 2 was on here. And we were talking about equipment preferences. And he said, what about seed? What do you plant and why do you plant it? Well, I guess we touched on that a little.
Pioneer. We plant Pioneer 100%. Biggest reason, and this is all just what I've heard from my dad, because I always ask you this question as I grew up. I was like, why do we plant 100% Pioneer? Everybody else, you know, there's a lot of people that plant, you know, different seed companies. They always do different hybrids, different numbers, all that. And we do different hybrid, but it's all Pioneer. And he just said, you know, because it's all about, there's really not a whole lot of difference between all of them. But every time somebody comes to the house and tries to sell us on other seed, they always compare their numbers to Pioneer. And the service has always been good to us. The people that we get our seed from, the dealer we get our seed from, they've always been great. They've always been phenomenal. They've never given us a reason to not go with them. So maybe we're losing out on not trying another company or seeing a different direction, but our yields have gone up year after year. If it's, you know, if the conditions have been good. If we get it planted. The service has been good, and everybody else compares their numbers to Pioneer when they come over and try to sell us on their seed. The only thing that would piss me off and stir me to go a different direction is if they get so woke and do some stupid shit like Bud Light did. Yep. That's what will take me away from Pioneer right away. Yep. You do some stupid woke shit, I'm out. You're going to lose our business, so don't do that.
So in my past life, when I was working in the hog industry, a guy that I worked with, you know, we had people coming down there all the time, trying to sell you feed, trying to sell you injectables, trying to sell you, you name it, you know, feed trucks, whatever it was. And he had a really great way of dealing with it. He would just tell them, he would say, here's the deal. XYZ, let's just say we were talking about feed. He would say, this is who we use. They have provided us with great service. Their price is always competitive. They do a great job for us. They may not always do a great job for us. And if the day comes that they screw up, we're going to look for somebody else. But until they screw up, we're going to keep using them. Thanks for stopping by. I got your number. If anything changes, I'll let you know. And I always like that. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's it. Another thing I think that plays in more with us, if we were farming 5 times as much ground as we are today, well, to me, I think I would feel a little bit more like I had room to experiment.
Yeah.
But the problem that I have is every acre I farm, I have to get the best yield I can out of it. And to me, I feel like I don't really have, you know, people are like, oh, just try 8 bags of this. I can't afford to try 8 bags of that. I've got to use what arguably is the best out there. And, you know, you can beat me up and say, you know, it's really not, and it's all hocus pocus, and that, you know, somehow there's all kinds of theories on how that they have managed to stay where they have. And And that's fine. And there's lots of good seed companies, but at the end of the day, to what Sawyer said, that's absolutely right. Until they screw up, that's what we're going to keep doing. So, and I think for most people, if I just take off my personal, off my farm, most guys out there at the end of the day, they want to work with somebody that feels that they make them feel like their business is important to them and they're doing a good job for them. Now then, there are farmers out there that do not give a shit about service. The only thing they care about is price. And they spend their time going through these hybrids, and there's a hell of a lot of hybrids out there that are basically genetics that are farmed out. In other words, there's a lot of companies that are selling seed that don't actually have their own genetics. They're using somebody else's. And so they know what this number is under 5 different people's names or 10 people's names, and it's whoever they can get that hybrid from for the cheapest price. And I'm not one of those guys. And I probably never will be. So
unless I did hear this from somebody that deals with a lot of ag companies. And this isn't any other business. But the guys that farm a shitload of acres probably get a cheaper price than what we do.
Oh, guaranteed.
Because it's just all about, it's all about supply and demand. It's the same thing with the companies that I work with inside Farmer Grade. If I order more boxes and liners, I order more volume, I'm going to get a cheaper price per unit when I order more volume. If there's a farmer out there that farms 40,000 acres, he's probably going to get a cheaper price per bag than we do.
Right.
No doubt about it.
Yep.
So price matters, but we're just, this grain farming thing, it's awesome. We love to do it, but it's not like our end all be all. It's not the foundational piece of our operation. It's a big part, but the hogs are probably the biggest. And then what we do outside of the hog building with the podcast and showing what we do every day on the YouTube and Farmer Grade, those are kind of the big things.
Yeah. You know what? At the end of the day, grain farming is, to me, it's like, I look at it as how much could I make renting all this ground out versus how much can I make farming it myself. Right now, I can make more money farming it myself, so that's why I'm doing it. I don't foresee a time when I'll say, "Yep, let's just rent it out," but it could happen, and I feel like I am not that tied to it that if it came to the point where somebody is dumb enough to pay me X versus what commodity prices are, I am not going to be one of those people, and I don't think you are either, that are going to say, oh, we farmed this for however many generations and we're going to keep farming it. No, we'll keep raising pigs and we'll keep doing all the other stuff we're doing, but if somebody wants to rent it, knock yourself out. And when times change, maybe we go back to farming, because this industry
numbers have gotten stupid.
Yeah, the numbers are just
don't even make sense.
It's ridiculous,
especially this year.
Yeah,
it's fuck. People are at a wash or losing money. You're working for nothing. You're working for a loss. Some people are working for a loss.
Yeah, and I'm not so tied to it that I'm willing to do that. I'm not. I know I've done enough things to lose money. I don't need any more. And we're really blessed. Truly, we are blessed in the fact that we have some options. And thank the good Lord that we have decided to try to diversify some. Because if I was a pure grain farmer,
well, shit, we wouldn't even be here.
No, but even if I was to the size where it worked, if all my eggs were in that basket, that's a tough hats off to you guys, because it's just tough, because you are a price taker and every input that you put into a crop it
matters big time.
You don't have control of any of it.
And Mother Nature better she's the biggest factor of all.
Yeah.
So yeah, long-winded answer there, but yeah, I'm asking you a question now because you use that one.
All right.
So we're going to be on some we're still on some controversial topics here. So this guy, he is a supporter. Jeff is a supporter, but he just wanted to throw this out here just to get our opinion because he wants us to really stick the knife in and twist it. So Jeff asks, how can you call yourself a capitalist and then take money from the government in reference to subsidized crop insurance?
Yep.
You greedy fucking farmer. You
playing both sides.
You guys, you know, it's so funny. Hold your thought. You guys would be surprised at how, if you go and look at the YouTube shorts on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, you look at the comments, man, there are really some people out there that hate farmers and truly believe that we are just sitting on piles of cash.
Yes.
There might be some guys out there like that, but when it comes to not, like, they just don't get it. They must just not know what an operating loan is, or they just don't get it whatsoever. And they truly believe we're able to just buy equipment with just, I think they think we're buying it in cash, and we're buying, like Iowa Farmers bulldozer clip. They're like, oh, these farmers, they're so poor. They buy construction equipment too because they're so poor. It's like, dude, you have no idea. You are literally so removed. You have no idea the reality. So continue, but it's just funny.
Well, I mean, I don't know. So first of all, I don't even know really where to start on that other than to say that, for one thing, I guess this is the deal. You do have a choice. Like, you can farm without crop insurance. And my dad farmed without crop insurance for a long, long time. And as long as I've been doing it, I've had crop insurance, and I've never collected on it. So to me, crop insurance is a piss poor investment. But I farm some really good ground. You know, my family was lucky enough that when they left Illinois and came to Iowa, they settled here, and it's good dirt. And very rarely do we get in a situation where we raise a poor enough crop that I could actually, collect on crop insurance. But you're right. I don't know what the split is. I don't know how much the premium that I pay is subsidized by the federal government. I should know that, and somebody can probably correct me. And we've actually talked about having somebody on to talk about crop insurance from a crop insurance provider. And maybe we should, I think, now that I think about it, I should get a hold of John Greiner at Cass Grain, because I think he does crop insurance. And so upcoming episode, we'll have to have old John back, and we'll talk about crop insurance and what the subsidy is and all that. But before I can't really say a whole lot more about that, but I will knock you down off your pedestal a little bit and say that as convoluted as this country is, there is not many people that are living and that are either running a business or buying things or have a retirement account or you name it, that something that you come in contact with is not somehow subsidized by the United States government. Their hand is in so much shit that, like it or not, you're getting something that's subsidized by the government, whether that be education or whether that be ethanol at the pump, or whether that be your crop insurance, or whether that be if you live somewhere where insurance rates have gone through the roof, you can bet your ass that the United States government is going to come in and probably backstop some of that so that those people can actually get insurance, because there's a lot of insurance companies that don't want to insure certain areas, and you can bet that the United States government's probably going to step in and say, we're going to backstop this so you can have insurance. And so, yes, I would say I'm still a capitalist, even though every year I buy a crop insurance policy. And I don't know how much it's subsidized, but I can tell you that if it is subsidized and I'm going to get a freebie, it ain't subsidized near enough, because to me, I pay a hell of a lot for something that I have never used. And like Iowan Farmer, when he was on here, he was talking about crop insurance. If you farm somewhere where your yields are,
they're not in a certain criteria.
Yeah.
They don't even get it.
He doesn't even get crop insurance because his proved up yield so low that if he got the crop insurance, if the crop insurance paid out, it wouldn't make any difference. He'd be losing his ass. So it makes no sense for him to have it. So you're right. I mean, for me, the rates are decent, I guess, but we also farm somewhere where I've been doing all the farming as far as putting the money out there and making the decisions for, I don't know, 12 years probably. I don't know if it's been longer than that or not. I can't remember when I took that all over, but I've never claimed it, and I pay it out every year. So I think my capitalism is still fully intact, as much as it can be.
I guess what my only comment on it is, I saw a comment that was like, well, these farmers are all subsidized by the government, and if it wasn't for the government, farmers wouldn't be here. Those are the kind of comments that I see. And they're like, well, it's other small businesses don't get subsidies from the government. They have to produce their product, and, it's just got to work,
Like General Motors?
Yeah.
Is that who you're talking about?
Small, but they said small businesses. But here's the thing. What we raise, people need. Like your little small gadget that you make and sell on Amazon or whatever, is it a need or is it a want? Because if we don't raise enough crops and the farms go out of business, that crop production is not going to be there, and it ain't going to feed the pigs. It's just less pigs. It's less livestock. It's less crop production. So the government steps in when they need to for farmers, because if they don't, the farmers go out of business, which means more corporations are going to buy the farms or less production, which if you talk to the American consumer, to those, they don't want that. Mm-hmm. Probably don't want that unless you want to eat fucking crickets.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Or you want corporations to own all the farms and farmland in America. So, there's the other side of that. That's the other reality. Am I wrong or am I right on that?
You're right.
I mean,
and
that's the truth.
You bring
like it or not.
You bring up a really good point, because hang with me here a minute. I wanted to say this because I just saw this story last night, and I think it's a really good example of what you were talking about. How do you have a business that creates a need or a want? And in this country, that is one of the problems that we have, that our economy is so upside down, because today the most valuable companies, let's go Apple. Apple is one of the most valuable companies. Meta, most valuable companies, worth trillions of dollars. Do they create a need? Do they create a product that is a need or a want? Well, most people would say it's a need, but is it a need?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
So Apple, what's the difference between the Apple first generation iPhone and the 15th generation iPhone? Well, the 15th generation has a way nicer camera, and it runs a lot faster. But does it do anything really different than what the first one did?
I think You might want to go maybe like the 5th or
okay. Well, whatever.
I know what your point is, but yeah.
But when you look at so today we put so much value as Americans, we put so much value on stuff that companies that create things for our wants, and we undervalue. So when you look at Union Pacific, or you look at Tyson, or you look at General Electric, or companies that create stuff you actually need, the value of those stocks is shit because they're not sexy, because they're not techy. Our whole society today runs on wants. And what the shit we talk about, how like the last podcast we were talking about, like the day of reckoning, or when that switch happens, when public services break down, or when the economy goes to shit, that's when people wake up, and it's not about what you want, it's about what you need. And so all of that to say that subsidized crop insurance is a holdover from a time when the United States government knew that if shit really hits the fan, we got to make sure that there are farmers out there, that they don't all go broke, so they can produce what we all need.
Yeah, there you go.
It isn't about what we all want. It's about what you need. And it's not very sexy. And you can give me all the shit you want about it, but at the end of the day, that's why it's there. And like I said, I don't feel like it's subsidized. We will find out. We'll come back to this. We'll find out how much it is subsidized, because I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But like I said, I think it's a necessary. I think it's a necessary thing to keep food production going in this country, and I think we're both still capitalists.
Yep, 100%.
Oh, that's a good one. You're the resident meat expert. Zach asks, what is the best way to prepare bacon? His preference is a cast iron skillet.
Oh, boy. I have actually never made bacon on a cast iron skillet. I take that back. I have going on a camping trip with my good buddies over a fire with a cast iron skillet. The only problem with a cast iron skillet is that thing is a bitch to clean. It is.
You didn't season it correctly.
Well, we did, but then, and then the bacon grease. But then if you make eggs in that thing,
yep, I
don't care how good you season that thing. It sticks a little bit. Anyway, I've never made it in a cast iron skillet. Oh, I have, but we were all drunk. We were hungover. It probably wasn't done the best that we could probably get it to be. But my personal favorite, if I'm in a pinch and need it quick, I'll just season it, throw it in the oven. I know that's not very sexy, you probably don't get the most flavor on it. But I think pan fried or on the Blackstone. On the Blackstone, there's nothing better than skillet or what do you call it? Flat top bacon.
Yeah.
Griddle. That's the word I was looking for. A griddle. It's hard to beat. Breakfast on the Blackstone, no matter what it is really hard to beat. You can do pancakes, bacon, sausage. I don't know, eggs, they get a little too done on there, I think, unless you do them over easy and stuff like that. But when you're talking meats on a Blackstone, well, damn, that shit is really, 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 really good. So I would say that's probably my favorite method to cook bacon. And I like the thick shit. I don't want that thin stuff. And here's an interesting thing I learned this week about bacon. So, as farmer grades progress, we've looked into doing some more wholesale partnerships with people locally in the area, restaurants, stuff like that. And, U.S. Foods is a huge distributor of food, especially in the restaurant industry. And, they have gold, they have silver, and they have bronze graded bacon. And, I've never heard of that. Dad never heard of that. And they were talking, this restaurant we're talking to, they were talking to us about that. And, I wrote it down, and I had a buddy that works kind of in the wholesale side of the business around the country. And I asked him about those grades. I'm like, what's the difference? How do you even go about getting gold graded bacon? And he said that your gold graded bacon is very lean in the fact that belly on the pig doesn't have a lot of fat on it when you go to process it. So they process those pigs at about 275, 265, 270, because the pig grows from the hind to the front. So their belly gets developed pretty early, and it's more lean, doesn't have a ton of fat on it. So the
bigger it gets, the more fat gets deposited in the belly.
And then that kind of bacon, when you throw it in a pan or whatever, it shrinks up because it's not as lean, it's not as muscular, whatever. So gold is a leaner pig, smaller frame pig, smaller pig, and then silver and bronze are fatter pigs. So that, I guess I didn't really know that, but anyway, I love bacon, and no matter what it is, but I do like bacon to kind of stay intact and not shrivel up as much.
So the way they market that is your gold, that is like for breakfast. So
plate coverage.
Because it's your presentation. When somebody orders bacon, they use that gold bacon because it doesn't shrink up and it fills, it looks good on the plate.
Yep.
And then the silver is like what you put on a BLT.
Yep.
So, because it doesn't have to look perfect, you just want it so that it sticks out the end. And then the bronze is like what you chop, you fry it and you dice it, and it goes on a salad or it goes in a soup, or you use it for garnish or whatever.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. We were just on the topic of bacon, but man, I could eat bacon in a pan in the stove on the Blackstone in a cast iron skillet. Hell, I would even, if I was desperate enough, I would put it in the microwave and eat that shit too. I would. I love bacon. It's the best food. It's one of the best foods out there. So I got to give the cast iron skillet a try and really do it when I'm not hungover around all my buddies, where we're just trying to feed ourselves.
And you're not trying to fry eggs after.
Yeah, don't want to do that. Yeah, we were itching to get on the boat that morning, so we were just like, let's throw this shit in there and get it done enough to where we can eat it. Yep. So,
I agree with you. The griddle, the flat top, I love bacon on that. And I will just tell you what, if you want everybody around your table smiling after breakfast, if you have the clan over, make breakfast on your Blackstone and do your bacon. And if you're going to do eggs, do your eggs over easy, but then do your pancakes on that griddle with the bacon grease on there. And those pancakes will be the best damn pancakes you've ever had. When we have breakfast at our house in the summertime, I'll make everything on the flat top. Like I'll do sausage patties. And then just about when they're done, I'll throw the bacon on. And when I pull the sausage patties, I'll do the eggs and throw them off, and then take the bacon, and then I'll do the pancakes last. And the pancakes in that bacon grease. Ooh.
Yeah, the nice thing about those pancakes, I feel like we're on a food podcast right now. We're like with the barbecue guys.
Yeah.
We're talking about our recipes. But best thing about those pancakes on the Blackstone is, I don't know how you do it, but the edges crisp up.
Yeah.
That shit is fire. That shit is so good.
It's so good.
Oh man.
I mean,
you should not eat that every week, but shit, it's good.
No, but you know what? Once a month, have everybody over, do her upright, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
How long do you want to keep rolling here?
I don't care. Let's do. I don't care. Let's do one more. Whatever.
All right. What,
more.
You want me to ask you one?
You pick what you want. You pick. Well, you want to talk about LWE? I got the LWE shirt on.
All right. So Eli asks, I'm 19. I'm in the process of adding a hog barn to our operation. With interest rates and building costs, the cash flow is really hard to do. We feel for you, brother. The treatment system you are putting in really caught my attention. With the treatment system, could you make the pit 3 to 4 feet instead of 8 foot? The savings in concrete would cash flow way better. I feel like treatment systems are definitely the way of the future. What's your thoughts and ideas of building new barns to be compatible with new technology with treatment systems.
Here we go, boys. I love talking about this. This is one of my favorite subjects to talk about, and I'm pissed. We want to get going on this thing so bad, and everybody within LWE does too. It has just been, when you're trying to do something that nobody's done before, or I should say nobody's done well, because I just had somebody message me today and said, oh, we put one of these systems in and it didn't work worth a shit. Well, you didn't put an LWE system in because they have not put any out on hog farms yet. There is a company out of Canada that has a similar name that has been doing it, and they use a different technology, and I don't really know. The fact that they've been around as long as they are and it's not more popular than what it is tells me it probably has not worked very well. But to answer your question, first of all, you're totally right. If we can get to the point that we're processing manure in real time, where we're separating the water out of it and we're getting the solids, and then we're also taking all the salts out of it, so you have your potash as a separate slurry, separate pile, and then that water, we can treat that water both pasteurization and reverse osmosis, plus the level of filtration is excellent in it. You can get that water to where you could totally feed that back to your animals. Now, some people are going to definitely not want to do that to start because they're worried about pathogens within the water, and that's fine. It's going to take time, and that water is going to be tested, and people are going to run trials. And I think at the end of the day, ultimately, it will prove out that you can totally do that with no problems. But not 3 or 4 foot pit. You will be able to build these barns with a 2-foot pit, because for a system, the way a system works, it needs to run a continuous. This is the same kind of issue in the biodiesel business. When that all started, there were guys that ran like what you called, I guess for lack of a better term, they called it like a still, like a pot still biodiesel plant, where they refined the diesel like in batches, and they had a really hard time with them because every time you started a new batch, you kind of had to experiment whether you got the mix right. And most biodiesel, or most diesel plants today, they're a continuous flow, where they're just monitoring it and they're tweaking the process. Well, this manure separation system, it's the same in the fact that it wants to have constant throughput for the way the filtration works, for the way the separation works. It needs to have just a steady supply of liquid manure going through it. And so on the building side, you want to be separating, you want to be pulling manure pretty constantly. So you may not be pumping manure constantly, but you may pull out of your pit every morning for so many hours, or every night for so many hours. And if you have multiple buildings, the system is going to be sized based on the annual production of manure. Like, how much manure are you actually putting in there? And that's based on size of pig you've got, number of pigs in the facility. Is it winter? Is it summer? Or you have wet dry feeders, nipple bars. All of that goes in because basically they're sizing it based on the amount of manure that's fallen through those slats. And so in our situation, where we've got 4 2,400 head barns, the way that machine is probably going to work is we're going to be separating about every 21 days or 28 days. I can't quite remember if that, I think it's every 21 days. I think it's
21, 3 weeks.
So every 3 weeks, we're going to be making a circle. So we'll only be pulling manure out of each pit for so many days. But the amount of manure in that pit is only going to be maybe 10 inches, 14 inches, something like that. So when this system proves itself out, and I am confident that it will prove out that we can make it work. It will not be perfect to start with. I guarantee it, because nothing is until you've done it. And if it was easy, everybody would do it. That's the thing. We just got to get going and do it. But I believe that this technology has the best. It creates the possibility that we can get back to a world where a hog building actually cash flows, to where when I started selling buildings, what I loved about it as much as anything else is it was an opportunity, because somebody could build a building and bring a son or daughter back. They could work on the farm. The hog building cash flowed well enough that you could pay them a wage to chore that building. After 7 to 10 years, the building was paid for, you had the cash flow, and you had them there to help you farm. And we've lost that because they just absolutely do not cash flow, and you actually have to subsidize it if you want to bring somebody back to do it. This is the best opportunity that I've seen out there, that we can get back to a situation where these buildings will cash flow, and you have a cheaper building design, and you have the income off the system as far as the carbon credits and, a better quality fertilizer. I mean, obviously, I'm drinking my own Kool-Aid, so line up. I mean, I believe in it. If I didn't believe in it, we would not be doing what we're doing. But look around. Everything is getting more expensive. Everything is getting harder to do. So to me, it's like we've got to come up with a better mousetrap in animal agriculture than what we've got today. And I think the LWE system is it. So yes, I think you can build a building with a 2-foot pit, and I think you can take between probably around a third of the building cost out of it, because I would assume you're saving about a third of the concrete by going to that shallow pit. So yes, we're very excited. We're very close. There is a lot of regulatory bull crap that we've had to go through to get this figured out. And it's really easy to be second. It's really hard to be first. And that's basically where we're at, is we're just, every day we're pounding the stone on getting this thing across the finish line. So stay tuned to the Farm Channel, because as soon as we break ground and there's something to look at, we're going to have it, and you'll be able to see it on our YouTube channel. And I'm a little excited about it.
Yeah, I'm amped up too. And thing about it is this whole idea, this whole system, it will change. It'll change the hog business forever. If the system plays out, it works. This whole idea of separating the solids out of the manure and all the byproducts of this system, generates a lot of income. It's more sustainable. It's more regenerative, whatever you want to say. And it really helps out hog farmers if it works. So we're really excited to do it. And it's like Dad said, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And I think that it's worth the pros of it, what it can yield versus the risks or the downsides. The pros and the reward outweigh the risks and the downsides. So
and you may not care anything about the environmental side of it. The environmental side of it is what makes it cash flow. But at the end of the day,
the thing about this guy doesn't even give a shit about the system itself. All he cares about is the fact that if you don't have to put as much concrete into the building design, it'll cash flow just off of what you make on the hogs.
Yeah. Right.
He ain't even looking at what the system could potentially yield you in income. So that's a whole other ball of wax that we'll dive into the more that we get into this, and when we get the system actually built. So more to see very, very soon. We're going to document the whole process and just lay it out like and tell it how it is. You know, we're not going to sugarcoat shit, and we're going to show you guys the 100% truth of all of it. So just like any other thing that we do. So if you guys got any value from the show, share it out with who you know. We appreciate all your guys' support on everything that we do, whether it's the clips, whether it's you guys sending us questions, whether it's you guys commenting or sending your thoughts to us. All of it's appreciated. We try to look at everything that you guys send us best we can. We're just so happy to be doing this, and we love doing it every week. And we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you back next week for another episode.